Daniela, welcome to Divine. So great to have you here. Your series is coming out tomorrow. What can viewers expect?
Well, hi ladies, firstly.
Hi.
Yes, super exciting that this is launching this week. It's a basis of, well, it's what it says in the title, to be honest, Foundations of Health. So I'm going to talk you through everything I believe you need to bring to build strong foundations. So I start the series off with a bit of an introduction to the history of pharma and why we are where we are today, and then what you need to build a strong immune system. And then I take you through all the different food groups, so all the macronutrients like your proteins, carbohydrates, fiber. Are calories really what they are made out to be? I'll take a closer look at what's in your food as well, which is quite surprising and quite shocking as well. And I'll teach you how to read food labels so you can be a little bit more savvy to this as well. And then I look at the digestive system, because it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb. So if your digestive system is not working correctly, then you're not going to be absorbing all that good food that you will be eating. And then I look at detoxification as well, because I believe this is what you need for longevity. So if you're getting rid of that waste correctly and those toxins, then your body's going to be functioning better. So let's have a closer look at this as well. And then the series is finished on the blue zones. So the blue zones are areas on Earth with the highest amount of centenarians. So this is people living to 100 and beyond in good health. So they've not got dementia and they've still got their hearing intact and their eyesight. So I have a closer look at what they're eating and how they live as well. So this is why it's called the Foundations of Health. So it's everything you need to build that.
Yeah, just going back to the beginning where you were saying about the protein, fats and the nutrients, that I did an anatomy and physiology exam, and I was shocked at, you know, what you learn at school is like how many, what's considered as healthy, like your dairy, your bread, your protein, and that is what is still in the textbooks now in school, in education. In your opinion, how should that look to for our children now, for the education?
Yes, well, I've actually done my own food pyramid before of what I think it should look like. So at the moment, the model that we're still working on is about 50, 60 years old now.
Wow.
And the large majority of our plates, what the government is saying should be coming from carbohydrates. So carbohydrates is energy. It basically turns to sugar in the body. If you don't use that energy straight away, this is when you start to store it as fat. So the amount of carbohydrates, I think it's something like 260 grams a day they believe we should be having. I believe we should be having less than 100, maybe around 50 grams of carbohydrates a day, because we don't need all that energy. And also you do get energy from other foods as well. So you do get energy from fats. And fats, I would actually say, is a better source of energy in the body, because the amount of energy that you get from 1 calorie of fat is way more energy than you get from carbohydrates, and it's longer sustained energy as well.
Do you cover what supplements that you would recommend? Because there's so much information, isn't there? And we kind of get bombarded with so many different supplements we should be taking, and oils and all these different things to have an idea, because it's not included in the food that we buy from the supermarket now. Let's face it. What would be your key supplements that you would advise people to take?
So I do talk about supplements briefly in there. It's quite hard to recommend supplements in general, because everybody's got their own needs for what they, what they need. Everybody's unique. So, but if I was to give like my top supplements that you can have on a daily basis that aren't going to negatively influence you, this is another thing that people need to take into consideration. Just because it's natural doesn't mean that it's okay to have on a daily basis. So if I was going to have something every day, and one supplement I do have every day is minerals. So our soil is heavily mineral deficient because of our farming practices now. So we're overusing our soil, we're over-tilling, which means we're over-ploughing our soil, and actually we're breaking the earth. And we shouldn't break this soil, because actually this is where all the microbes and all the nutrients are. And this is what the bugs feed off, and the bugs help to feed the plants. And this natural carbon rhythm that goes on actually is beneficial for the environment as well. So when we talk about carbon from the atmosphere, it's causing global warming. Actually, if we just had better soil practice, this would actually take the carbon out of the atmosphere and recycle it into the earth again. So, but because of the way that we're over-ploughing our fields, we're actually damaging the mineral content in there as well. So our plants aren't getting enough minerals, and the animals that eat the plants aren't getting enough minerals in their diet. So we're not getting it from the food either. So this is why minerals are really important. Now, I've talked about this in, on Divine. I think the last couple of episodes I've talked about minerals. So I like to take a formula that's a liquid mineral, and I add that to my water every day. You can also just add salt to your water as well, and that will help to give you the minerals. Now, there's so many conditions that are attributed to mineral deficiency. Probably most symptoms that people have, you can actually trace back to mineral deficiency. And ideally, you should never just drink plain water. You should always have some kind of extra minerals in there. And just having plain water actually decreases your stomach acid as well. And we need good, strong stomach acid for your immune system to digest food properly. So get minerals in the diet on a daily basis is probably my top one that I would say people need, that actually don't really have that many negative effects if you do consume them every day.
Daniela, you mentioned talking about the soil and the damage that we've been doing it by over-farming it or putting extra chemicals into the soil and over-fertilising with, big pharma products and big chemical giant products. Do you go into that in the show at all?
Not so much in this show. I talked about it a few weeks ago in Divine, but I might be making another series this summer that I want to dive more into that in much more depth, because I think it's such a huge topic that's not spoken about and we don't understand it. We just think we are the problem when it comes to too much carbon in the atmosphere. It's our fault. But actually, we need to look to these big companies and the way they are producing our foods is what's causing this excess greenhouse gases. Now, there is a really big movement going on if people are interested in it, and it's called regenerating. And regenerative farming is all about going back to traditional practices. Farmers don't even know about this, and there's this big educational community here in the US that's actually going around and retraining farmers of how they need to be growing their crops and how they need to be farming in general to be to protect it against the atmosphere, but also the way that we're farming now, we're not going to have food in the future because we're damaging the earth so much.
How do you think that the areas that you talk about, them being people reaching ages of over 100, do you think that's because they are doing their own farming on soil that is got more minerals in it? Is that the key?
Yeah, 100%. So they are all doing natural farming methods. They all eat through the natural rhythm of the life cycle throughout the year. So they're not flying food from different parts of the world and eating it when they shouldn't be. So they're eating to the natural cycle. They're farming naturally. And they are eating a mix of plants and animals and dairy. But this is where the confusion comes in with food. It's like we ban things under one bracket and say all dairy is terrible for you. But actually, it's not. It's the way we farm is why it's so bad. And what we are injecting our animals with. So if we what I'm really what I love about living in Miami at the moment is that I'm actually buying my food from Amish farmers,
Wow.
which for me, I was so excited about that because I know I'm eating traditional food now because I'm getting food from a community that has not been touched by Western civilization. And they have no chronic disease, they don't vaccinate, and but they're getting heavily suppressed by the government. They're trying to stop what they are doing. But I've managed to find myself in a community here that we've got direct links to the Amish community, and I can get my food from them. So I am getting dairy, I'm getting raw dairy, and I'm getting meat that's fully pastured, grass-fed. So I'm getting the best quality food that's probably available on the earth right now. But it's not saying that we can't all live this way.
Yeah. Or we can all just come to Miami and live with you.
It sounds...
Yeah, set up around the globe who are doing this. So
Amazing.
I don't know whether you've heard of Western Price Foundation.
Yes.
So the Western Price Foundation actually connect communities to these real food movements across the globe. So if anyone's interested in that, look for a Western Price chapter leader in your area. So just Google it. We have got them in the UK.
Perfect. Well, the feedback from your health segments on the show are great. So I'm sure this series will definitely be very well received.
Foundations of Health will be available from tomorrow, then a new episode every Thursday.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us today, Daniela, and we definitely look forward to tuning in to your new show.
Thanks, ladies. It's always nice to chat to you.